Real Life Military. Today we'll be talking about TSP. We'll go over the website. Um, I will try to teach you what they teach you and show you how if it's good or bad. And then we'll go into the actual funds, and then I will show you the actual website. I'll log into mine and we'll go through how my um, portfolio is doing this year, 2024. So we're going to switch over to the website now. Okay. So investment strategies right here they have. So it's right here. We're going to go over compounding by the numbers. So it says, in the case of snowball metaphor, if it's not working for you, here's a little example. Let's say your coworker Emma, at the same age, are both starting your federal careers at 25. Emma starts hers at $3,000 a year, which is $250 a month. Right away, her contributions the same until she's 65. But then you wait until you're 35, and then you start contributing the same $3,000 a year until you're 65. To keep it simple, they kept it at 7%, and they had Emma at 300 and $303,000, or you have $303,000. Emma has $640,000, twice as much as you. This is them showing you that time really matters, and it does 100%. It's not a bad example. And then they put, even if you started and she got 7%, if you had 10%, she still has more than you. So they're illustrating how time is everything. I'm okay with that. That's fun. But then they go into all of this, really doesn't matter, manage your risk, early career, mid-career, and then retiring. These are like really things that really don't matter. Like most people, it's like, I'm going to put this much away, and that's all that matters. And in this, they show, oh, but if you hit this age or if you're about to retire, then you can put in a lot more. Yeah, all those things are true, but that's not what really matters. People are just going to put in how much they can and how much they can afford. So now we'll go to the notorious L fund that everybody puts into. So in here, to figure out which L fund you're in, it's very simple. You just select one, and it says, so L250, it says, if you were born between 1985 and 89. So that's not me. Let's see the next one. If you're born between 1990 and 1994, this one is me. So that's how you find it. If you didn't know, that's how you find it. You put in the L fund, and then you find the one that says when you were born, and that's the one you're supposed to pick for their little thing to work out, right? But what does that mean? That means that you should get these kind of returns. So yeah, cool. What does the L fund truly mean? If you don't know and you're putting into it, that's kind of stupid. So figure it out. So you can go into here and look, you just click this, and then it says performance and risk. Composition, this is what you're looking for, the composition. So in 2020, these are the percentages that the L fund puts into. So they have the G fund at 0.5%, the F fund at 0.5%. They have the C fund at 48%. That's that big green part right here. So this is basically the biggest contribution that you are making in the L fund at the beginning. And they graph this for, like, when you first put in, it's really risky. And then as you see, it goes down. It scoops down all the way here. So the G fund starts at 0.5 and it ends all the way at 60% when you're about to retire and I guess die. I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me. So in okay, going back. So the C fund is the biggest one. Then you have the S fund and the I fund. And you should know what those mean. What is the C fund? If you don't know, then you're investing into this and you don't know what the C fund is, which is the biggest contribution that you're making. Like, it's you should know this. But anyways, we'll go into the funds right after this. So the S fund and the I fund. And so at 50% you have the C fund, at 14% you have the S fund, and the I fund is 34%. And then as you go down, they get lower and lower, and your F fund, which is fixed, and your G fund keep on getting bigger and bigger. Okay, so let's go to the funds now. Individual funds. So the G fund is the capital generated returns of the treasury. They are treasury securities, so they are the safest thing you can possibly have. That's why their yearly return is only 1.5%, super low. And now let's see what the F fund is. F fund is fixed index funds. Cool. So now what is the C fund, the S fund, and the I fund? So when we went back into that, the C fund was the biggest portion, and then you had the S and the I. So the C fund are common stocks. So they are your blue chip stocks. That's your Apple, your Microsoft, your Magnificent Seven stocks, right? And they have a lifetime return of 10%, 10.88%. And your S fund is about 8, and then your I fund is 5. And then the year returns are no, they're not. The C fund beats everything. Yeah. So this is high risk, super high risk, the I fund is. And then the S fund is medium high, and the C fund is medium because it's consistent. It's consistent. So now we know what those are. So C fund is blue chip, like S&P 500. The S fund is small cap stocks. Small cap stocks are stocks that haven't yet, like they're just starting. And then I fund is international. So now we went over that. So I will switch it over to my actual, okay, it's still on, my actual fund. Oh no, I gotta log back in. So as I was saying, so to get onto your TSP, which a lot of people don't have access to, you go to MyPay and then you can request it, because I guarantee you a lot of you don't have your password anymore. So first you have to request your password, and then you have to request your login, or the other way around. But you should have that, save it, and you should check this just every once in a while, at least once. You should be able to get into it. So, all right, now we will go to my, okay. And this right here is my fund. So we're going to go into my account. Dun, dun, dun. Investments. Okay, so my portfolio. So I have $43,000 in my portfolio. I personally didn't change out of the G fund until 2016 or 2017. So 6 or 7 years, I kept it at 1% because I didn't know. So they just changed that from 2016 or 2018. They switched it. So now you automatically get put into the L fund with 3 or 5%. I don't know because I joined way before that. So now I can go to performance. And then right here, it shows all the different fund rates and what the returns are. So if we remember, the C fund return was 1088. So if we go to graph, right here is my return. So if we look down here, my return for the year so far is 11.37%. That's pretty good. So now we will select my fund, which was 2055, and we'll select 2 others. So why don't we go with the G fund and the S fund. We add those to the charts, and now all these pop up. So this one right here that's going straight, the low one that barely hit 2%, that's the G fund. The S fund is the one that's going super crazy because it's small cap. It's fluctuates a lot. And this C fund, or this line right here, is the L fund, and then one at the top, that's me. So my fund has beat them all. So, and it makes sense. So what is my fund? What is my secret? Okay, I'll show you right here. Take all these away, and then you just put the C fund in there. And look at that. I put everything to the C fund. Why? Because it's the S&P 500. Like, it's the best stocks. It only makes sense. And instead of doing that crazy thing that this one does, hold on. Instead of doing this, okay, instead of slowly drifting out of the C fund and putting more into the G fund, because that's basically what's happening with the L fund. You are taking a huge amount of the C fund and you are cramming it down to get more risk averse. And then you're just raising up that G fund. So instead of doing that, I'm not going to die when I retire and I can take out at 60. So I'm just going to keep it consistently in the C fund because that makes sense, because I'm not going to die when I'm 60. Like, this would make more sense if it was like it went to year like 100, but it doesn't. It's stupid. Like, no one that I've ever talked to could ever like explain why this is a good thing to pick. It doesn't make any sense. It's so stupid. Okay. Anyways, so now we have to figure out how much we are going to have, right? So back to portfolio. 43,000, we'll go 600 to round it off. So we go into here. Look at this. My favorite tool, compound interest calculator. And now we plug in $43,600. Monthly contribution, just 200. And now we go years in. I am 34. I'm 34 years old, so 26 years. Interest rate, it was 11.37. I'm going to vary it by 2, or just, how about just 1? Not calculate. Boom. I'm going to have around $1 million. Not a lot. It's not a lot. When you think about it in the grand scheme of things, it is not a lot of money. But these numbers are going to change. So 2 could happen. And when you retire is a big thing too. So with a 2%, that $1 million goes to 1.5 if on a high end at 13.3, but on the low it goes to 1.5 million, but on the low end, that 9.3, it's only 680,000, which could happen depending on what's going on in the world. If we're in a depression or a recession, or if we're in a boom, it could be one or the other, but it's probably going to be around that 11%. So all of these things you can do. Again, look at this and just think about it. What makes sense to you? Like the L fund is not bad. It's good. It actually says that it does better. It really does. So I can't lie about that. And if it says it, I guess it must be true. Maybe. I don't know. But what makes sense to me is if it's mostly invested in the C fund the whole way, then I'm just going to stay in the C fund. But check your fund. Make sure and if you're old like me and you joined before 2015, then you probably are still in the G fund if you haven't ever accessed it. So access it, see how much you're putting in, see what fund you're in. Oh yeah, next thing. One thing I forgot is, so there's traditional and Roth. Know the difference between the two. Roth, you pay for taxes when it goes in and you don't pay for taxes when it comes out. And traditional is you don't pay for taxes when it comes in and you pay for taxes when it comes out. The ideal is that taxes will be higher in the future. Who knows? Also, if you plan on just living off your like your retirement and you just want to coast and not make more money when you get out, or you're not going to make over $100,000 or a bunch of money, then traditional actually helps you out. But so I think that's the end of that. But just know how much you have in there, because like I said, I always tell the example of this The guy, the senior chief at 22 years, and he was flexing that he joined the military and he's always put into his retirement. And they checked his shit in front of everybody, and he was in the G fund. He got 2% for 22 years, and he didn't have shit. Don't be that dude. Be smart. At least know where your money's going into. You don't have to put everything into retirement. Like, split things up. Like, it should be like house, retirement, investments. Split it up. That's my suggestion. You can do what the fuck you want, but at least make sure if you do have retirement and you're putting money into it, know what you're putting into it, know what you're going to have when you get out with the amount you're putting in, know what fund it's going in, know if it's Roth or traditional. Like, simple ass shit. Like, basic, 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 basic.